Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're not done already, subscribe to Off the Canvas Boxing, like the video and do all of those amazing stuff. This is depressing, very depressing. I wanted AJ to win. I hoped AJ would win, but Usyk was the better guy on the night. Usyk was the better guy. He cut, like, he done so much right. He done so much right, and going into the fight, the early part of the fight, Usyk was moving quick, probably quicker than I've ever seen him. He was moving so fast. He's moving like a cruiserweight in the heavyweight boxing scene. He probably went into that ring probably around 218, 215 or something like that. He probably cut somewhere from yesterday because he looked quick. He was boxing, cutting angles, moving, outclassed AJ. You know, by the time he got to round 8, round 9, he hanged on for dear life in that ring. Round 10 and 11, he could have knocked AJ out. He had some hairy moments, but big him up, man. And on AJ's front, we'll talk about the little breakdown afterwards. Good performance from AJ. I have to give it to him. That was a very good performance from AJ. I don't think it was a 10 out of 10 performance. I have to admit, if I had to just score it, I'd probably rate it I'd say a 7 out of 10 performance. It was a good performance. It was better than the first fight, because the first fight I had it at 3 out of 10, but it was a 7 out of 10. But I said AJ's got to be a 9 or a 10, and you know what? Being very good, being excellent, being outstanding. Like, you've got to be on that level to beat Alexander Usyk, and AJ was that little bit below. He was that tad bit below, and sometimes a lot of people could say, yeah, that was because of Usyk. AJ he could have thrown a couple more shots, but at the same time, I saw 24 rounds between AJ and Usyk, and I think maybe AJ would have hurt him in 2-3 of those rounds. Usyk was a rightful winner, man, and Usyk is AJ's bogeyman. Sometimes you lose to that same person, whatever it be, sport, wherever it is. Usyk is that person for AJ. AJ, poor aftermath as well. Let's talk about it. Because Usyk, he's the unified heavyweight champion of the world. I hope he gets his flowers. I hope he gets his kudos. But in terms of AJ next and what I want him to achieve next, we could talk about that in a bit, because we've got to talk about the breakdown. Sorry, I'm going all over the place because my head's gone. Apologies, guys. If this is not A1 content, usually it's a bit cut up, but fam, we've got to get off of my chest, bro. The bit afterwards, man, and I know some people are saying that, look, he was holding in that frustration, and it might not have been the best time, but he just had to lay out regardless. But that was poor, man. That was poor. I understand that AJ's building up some frustration, but he's building up frustration from critics, man. Why is he listening to these man? And this is the thing, AJ's been listening to all these men and all these critics, and it's not helping his career. Yes, he had a breakdown in the ring. We saw a Kanye West moment. He had a breakdown in front of us. But a part of me is like, where's the team, bro? Where is his guys? Why are they just letting him do it? They should be all hands on deck. Everybody should be right there, pulling AJ away, and telling him, listen, AJ, no, this is not the time. This is not the time. This is not the place. AJ, please no. Please no. Okay. If AJ was punching an old lady, they would just stand there, watch him do it. Someone's got to step in. You understand? And yes, I believe that everybody should look after their mental health and etc. I can't lie. Once in my life, I have to admit, maybe last year, 2 years ago, I had a very similar breakdown. But that was in front of a professional that knew how to overcome those things. You know, understand? It wasn't in front of a large audience. Sometimes, like, there's a time and a place for everything. You understand? And I don't agree with that. In terms of breaking that fight down, I don't think AJ could have done much differently. Maybe throw a couple of more punches, but Usyk just was the better man on the night. Usyk outclassed AJ. He done everything that he could have done. What next for the pair of them? For Usyk, is fairly simple: become undisputed, and I'm pretty much backing him the whole way because he beat the unified champion of the world. For me, Usyk's name is solid, man. Like, this guy is. And maybe, you know what? Maybe AJ fought Usyk at the wrong time as well. Usyk just came from his whole, personal situation with regards to Ukraine, etc. So maybe AJ came up against an almighty Usyk, probably the best ever Usyk that can ever live. That performance was the best Usyk performance of all time. Maybe AJ came up against that, and he wasn't 100. He was a 10 out of 10. So he fell short. But regardless of that, Usyk is the unified champion of the world. I hope he fights Fury. If you ask me who was going to win, that's for another time. On AJ, activity. I don't care how he does it, where he does it, who he fights. I just want him to fight by the end of the year. Fuck it, I don't care, bro. By the end of the year, find some flipping tomato can and fight them, bro. Build up your career. Have a couple more fights, like a Hellenius, like these sorts of dons. Then fight somebody amongst the top 10 and build yourself back up again. You understand? But it's difficult to watch. It was a sad operation, but we move on to the next one. Doing a live watch along for KSI versus Swarm, so maybe that can help me take my mind off it. But yeah, proud of AJ nevertheless. I'm very, very proud of him. And kudos, respect to Usyk. On to the next one. I see you guys in the next video. Apologies, guys, this might not be amazingly edited, but hopefully you guys can understand. My voice is cracking because I've been on a 4-hour watch along, so bear with me. But until next time, peace, love, prosperity, and I'm seeing you in the next video. Peace.